And welcome. Thank you for checking the phones. We appreciate that. Welcome to Ted Goveia's Celebration of Life. I'm Ted's celebrant. My name is Rock Douglas Aitchison, and I do like to qualify that it's my mom's maiden name is Rock. I'm not trying to be the wrestler, sports entertainer to get gigs. I come by my name honestly. Again, thank you for being here, and it's time to begin.
Ted's meant so much to the football community in Canada in general. You know, it's been the phone calls and the text messages and the emails I've got from so many people in this profession that I wouldn't have even thought of that share stories about the impact Ted's had on them and had on the game. He's always been thinking about ways to give Canadian guys a shot, whether it be as players or whether it be as coaches or executives. He's used his position as an opportunity to elevate other people, and I think that speaks a lot to the man's character.
I just think he impacts lives by being himself. It really doesn't matter. You could have nothing on the agenda. You could be playing ping pong. He's going to stop and pick up a paddle and try to play. You're not going to walk by his office and have him not say how you doing. I think sometimes people just impact your life by being who they are and listening and watching them work.
He knows football, but he knows people. And this is not always a people business. I think that's one of his greatest skills is being personable and understanding people. He really, I'm telling you, he understands people like on a different level. It makes him great at what he does.
Ted's always been a champion for Canadian football. I mean, he loves our style of game. He's always concerned about what players can do, what they can do for us, what they can do for the CFL, never about what they can't do.
I don't think the game's where it's at today in Canada if it isn't for the impact that Ted Goveia's had on the game, and I think that's a real legacy.
If I could ask you to please stand for the family processional. And thank you. Please be seated. And good afternoon. An amazing turnout as expected, and thank you for coming to pay your respects to the incredible life journey of Ted Goveia. Immediately after today's celebration of life, we will be able to stay, socialize, and share memories here at the Convention Center until 5 p.m. All are welcome to stay. I've organized today's ceremony in a football format, so I'm going to take care of the pregame. We have family who will speak in the first quarter. Our second quarter is devoted to friends. Our third quarter is devoted to football, and our fourth quarter will be the finale. A special thank you goes out to those who have donated to the Team TED Scholarship Fund by making direct donations or through the purchase of Team TED shirts. The Ted Goveia Football Scholarship will provide financial assistance to deserving student athletes at Mount Allison and McMaster Universities who demonstrate leadership and resilience, qualities that certainly define Ted throughout his career. On behalf of Ted's family, again, thank you for your support today. The expressions of sympathy for Ted have been simply overwhelming and very touching. We would like everyone to know that this is a safe place to begin your healing. Your grief may be expressed through tears, laughter, silent reflections, or sharing memories. All are very appropriate today as we reflect on Ted's warm, loving, and very passionate spirit. Now, I am able to honor Ted a few ways today. I was surprised to learn that Ted's favorite color is brown, so I have that in my tie today. Ted's family said he always looked good in blue, hence the jacket here. I have lapel pins, first of all a CFL one. It's the Canadian brand of football that Ted was such a staunch proponent of. I do have a Winnipeg Blue Bomber one to acknowledge his career with the Blue Bombers in personnel and as the senior assistant general manager. And of course, I have a Ticat pin here for Ted realizing his dream job as general manager with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I do acknowledge Ted's time in Toronto as running backs coach, the director of Canadian Scouting, and the director of player personnel. But as a Ticat season ticket holder, I'm sorry, I just cannot wear an Argo pin. More importantly, I will be introducing you to a number of distinguished speakers from Ted's inner circle who will share their thoughts and memories with us this afternoon. Ted was definitely one of our most positive lights in this world, and today's celebration of life will go through 4 stages. First, we do acknowledge our grief over Ted's passing. Secondly, we honor that Ted's life journey has made a lasting impression upon us, and we will carry that forward. Third, we begin sharing our personal memories of Ted. And finally, we can affirm our never-ending love and respect for Ted. As we begin Ted's tribute, I will ask you to participate in a mindful exercise only if you feel comfortable. But if you do, I'll ask you to close your eyes for a second, take a couple of nice, deep, cleansing breaths, and I'd like you to focus on one of your favorite memories with Ted. And when you feel you have it, you can open your eyes and rejoin us. And welcome to Ted Goveia's celebration of life. Feel free to share your personal memory later, or hold it for yourself. This was and is Ted's gift and moment with you today. We're going to begin our first quarter with Ted's family. From inside Ted's inner circle, I would like to formally acknowledge, first of all, and thank Ted's fiancée, Jen, and his sisters, Joanne and Lisa, who provided Ted with the care and stability he needed to remain at home during his final days. A true blessing, thank you. We are fortunate to be able to hear from all 3 today. Jen, if you feel ready, we'll start with Jen, Ted's fiancée and soulmate.
Oh, wow. I just saw the amount of people that are here. Wow. Thank you everyone for coming. I can't believe all the love I feel for Ted right now. It's pretty amazing. Ted and I actually went to high school together, and he used to joke and tell people that we went to prom, but with different dates. 4 years ago, on a beautiful October day, I went for a sail with a dear friend. I saw Ted working on his boat. I thought it was some kind of fate, reunited after 30 years, and not knowing anything about each other. We started talking over a glass of red wine. We talked for hours and hours. The next day we had our first date. I think he was trying to impress me. He took me on his sailboat, and we raced, and we actually won. Although we never raced again, Ted didn't want to break the winning streak. My life since then has been a whirlwind of sailing, traveling, concerts, and of course football. We shared a love for music, and he would take me on his road trips across Canada and the US, and we would sing loudly in the car. And he always did his drum solos on demand. He showed me so much of the world. We had so much more to see, and we had so many plans for the future. He taught me about history and politics, which he loved to debate. He was so very smart. I admired his work ethic, although I had to call him every night at 8 o'clock and ask him to please come home and eat something. He spoiled me with vacations, and he loved my girls and my grandkids. When Ted got sick, he asked me to marry him. I, of course, said yes, but we didn't have the time. I remember when Ted first found out that he was referred to as being rough around the edges. Boy, was he upset. He was really hurt, and I never saw it as a bad thing. Ted was the kind of guy to say it to your face and not behind your back, and he was going to tell you the truth whether you wanted to hear it or not. Sometimes not so gentle. He was passionate and fierce, and he was kind and oh so very stubborn. When it was announced that Ted was sick, the love started pouring in, phone calls and videos and texts and long messages about how Ted changed so many lives. He read every message and he watched every video. And he was amazed, and he looked at me and said, "I really thought everyone thought I was an asshole." I was so proud when he got his dream job, all his hard work paying off, and he managed to build another great team in such a short period of time. No pressure, boys, but Teddy needs another great cup. To the Hamilton Tiger Cats, thank you for making us part of your family from day one, the day that Ted got hired. And it's been a really great ride, and I've loved every minute. Thank you, all of you. To Joe and Lisa and Chris and Brad. We did it. We kept Teddy home, and we loved him so much until his very last breath. And thank you to the Wilson family for loving me and taking me in. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. I invite Ted's sister, Joanne, forward.
That is a lot of people. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have supported Ted throughout his journey, both before and during his battle with cancer. Your presence here today is a testament of the impact that Ted had on each of our lives. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Ted's stepsister. To be quite honest, I'm a little nervous about speaking up here today, but I'm drawing strength from the very essence of who Ted was. A profound example of his resilience comes to mind. Shortly after receiving the devastating news about his diagnosis, Ted had the daunting task of delivering a speech for the Ticats. He stepped into a quiet hallway, pulled himself together, and emerged to deliver an outstanding speech. If Ted could summon that kind of strength at such a daunting moment, then I know I can do this today. Now, I would like to introduce some of my family members here today that you haven't met. I've got my stepsister, or Ted's stepsister, Suzanne, and her husband, Ted, along with their kids, Ashley and Michael, his stepbrother, Alan, and his partner, Sandra, and his other stepbrother, Ian, and his wife, Pam. Their bonds with Ted were unique and filled with memories that enriched our lives together. We created moments of joy, love, and laughter that will always be cherished. Next, I'd like to introduce my wonderful husband, Brian, and our 3 beautiful boys, Cole, Wilson, and Ted's godson, Cameron. Ted and I have shared countless unforgettable moments since our childhood. Some of my early memories were when our families would go skiing together, and at the age of 5 or 6, Ted and I would gear up in our skis with no ski poles, and we'd bomb straight down that hill at full speed. I'm not sure if it was because we hadn't learned how to stop, or if it was just because we loved the adrenaline rush. I think it was a bit of both. But there's one thing for sure, is that we terrified our parents. Our families also shared the love for boating. I have fond memories of mooring our boats at Toronto Islands and Ontario Place. Some of you might remember Children's Village. It was a 2.5-acre playground at Ontario Place with slides and climbing apparatuses. We spent countless hours there. One of the features at the park was a field of punching bags that were suspended from the ceiling. The objective was either to run through them at full speed and without getting knocked over, or tackling them as some kid was swinging them into you. Maybe this is where Ted first developed his tackling skills. As we grew older, Ted's and my life took different paths, and unfortunately, we didn't see each other for a while. Luckily, we shared the same passion for sailing. Ted was at sailing school in Burlington, and I was at sailing school in Port Credit. I'm sure many of you don't know that Ted had a rebellious punk rocker stage in his early teens. He played bass guitar for a band called The Brute Creation, sporting a full-on mohawk. He's gonna kill me for telling you guys all this. I know no one at either sailing schools had a mohawk except Ted. So during one regatta, I see this kid sailing past me with a mohawk, and there was no doubt that it was Ted, and our friendship was rekindled. Ted always marched to the beat of his own drum, and that was a trait that often conflicted with his father's expectations. Ted approached his late teens and early 20s and was completely immersed in football. He didn't want to focus on anything else and wasn't interested really in working. I recall Ted's dad kicking him out of the house, saying, "You're not coming back until you find yourself a real job." Thank goodness Ted was a rebel and didn't follow the conventional way of doing things. He hung on to his dream of football, and he never let that go. And look what he's created. The magnitude of this baffles me. And at the end, his dad was so proud of him. So the lesson to be learned here is that if you have a passion and a dream, don't let anyone get in your way. Work hard because it doesn't come easy, and don't give up because you never know where it's going to take you. Although Ted had this tough kid look, he was a gentle soul and had another passion of music, not just punk music. I could listen to Teddy playing his acoustic guitar for hours. It had such a calming effect on me. We could sit and talk and laugh and sometimes even cry. He had a way with his guitar, and for those of you who had the privilege of sitting with him, know exactly what I'm talking about. It was a true gift. My mother, Beryl, and Ted had a wonderful relationship, often drinking tea and chatting about life. And unfortunately, she was diagnosed with with Alzheimer's, and during COVID were some of her most challenging times. Because there was no traveling, we got a chance to spend more quality time with Ted, because he was on the road. Ted would come and play guitar for my mom, often prompting her to dance, a joyful response to the rhythm, and brought her such a sense of peace. Those moments, it seemed like her illness just disappeared. I could go on and on about stories about Ted, but I know we've got other speakers that are going to share some with you today too. But I do want to share with you one last thing. During Ted's last hours, we had some pretty intimate moments. I told him how very proud I was of him and how the extent of what he's created here is mind-boggling. I had no idea he had so many people that loved and respected him. I also thank him for giving me the opportunity to meet so many of you that I've met in the last few months, and sharing your stories about them. You're all the most loving, kindest people, and he knew that. It's a true reflection on who he was. So please don't stop sharing your stories about Ted. There's so many life lessons in all of them. I also want to have a big shout out to all the fans out there. Your love and support has given my family and all of our friends the strength to carry us through all of this. I'm going to miss you, Teddy. And thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We conclude the first quarter with Ted's sister, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Ted's sister, Lisa. As Rock just said, thank you. Thank you for all being here. Thank you to my amazing siblings who organized this tribute for Ted. Thank you, Jen. I'm in awe and so proud of what Ted accomplished in his 55 years. His work ethic and his passion for football were so inspirational. My mom was a die-hard Ticat fan from day one, as long as I can remember. She always rooted for Ted's team. Even when he was playing against her beloved Ticats. Although she passed long before Ted got the GM role, I feel that her and Ted are enjoying that success right now. My dad was so proud of Ted, and later on, Dad and Beryl attended every game, never missed one game. Our childhood was a loving one. Mom was a terrific cook. We loved her curries and special West Indian dishes. Ted delighted in her cooking so much that when he was about 2 or 3, my dad bought him a shirt that said, "I can't believe I ate the whole thing." And we used to laugh at that shirt for years and years after. We were surrounded by loving aunts and uncles. Aunt Pat and Uncle Bill lived not far. I recall happy times at Uncle Jack and Aunt Shirley's. And my Aunt Shirley made the most delicious homemade wontons. My American cousins would tease us when we said A. They would follow up with B, C, D, E. Americans. Such wonderful memories. I love Americans, by the way. My dad was a sailor from a young age. And all of the old black and white photographs that I look back on, he's holding a guitar. When Mom and Dad moved to Canada, they embraced the seasons. Summer we sailed like Ontario, spending time at Ontario Place in the X. We got long strings and tied magnets to the end, and we would go to the bars on the grounds first thing in the morning and they had wooden decks with little gaps in between, and we would get our magnets and fish out all the change, and that was our play money. Ted was driven from a young age, let me tell you. In winter, we skied, and on our long drives home, seated in the back seat of Dad's Ford, tired and happy, listening to Simon and Garfunkel, John Denver, Willie Nelson. I believe all those great times shaped Ted's passion for music, sailing, and skiing. We sure were blessed. This February, I went skiing with Ted, and we had not done that since we were kids, and we had the best day. We reminisced as we went up the chairlift, and it was a beautiful bonding experience for us. He was always traveling, and I never got to have him very much, so I clung on so tight that day, and it was so wonderful. He was such an awesome skier, such clean lines and grace. And he went down the hill every time first, and he waited for me mid-hill every time to make sure that I got there safe. In his last days, when we were caring for Ted, sitting with him, I told him how I will always remember waiting for me mid-hill. This time he said, no, I'm going to be waiting at the top. And I believe that he meant, you go all the way down now, Lise, I got you. I will always love you and miss you, Ted. Rest in peace, my little brother. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, all three, Jen, Joanne, and Lisa. We hit the second quarter. Ted's friends, or as we like to say, the family that Ted chose along the way. First, I'd like to introduce longtime friend from high school, although not the same high school together. Please welcome Brad.
Yeah, I need a little help. I had a really hard time deciding what to say today. I knew many, many people were going to stand up here and speak about how important Ted was to Canadian football and the teams he worked with. And I knew many people would talk about how well-rounded he was, that Ted was more than football, that you could talk to Ted about almost anything and find he had interesting and well-informed opinions. That Ted cared about people and Ted cared about fairness. And I figured after 40 years of friendship, I should be able to offer some unique insight into the mystery of Ted. But of course, Ted was not mysterious. It was easy to know what Ted was thinking on any topic. Just ask him and he would tell you, without pretense, without judgment. He was a classic open book. Not because he was simple. Ted was insatiably curious, eager to learn things and inform his opinions. In my experience, Ted didn't want or need to disagree with people. He was genuinely interested in hearing what other people thought and why they thought it, even if, and especially if, they thought something different from him. He would rarely argue. Instead, he'd take what you said and think about it. Maybe come back with a couple of questions in a day or a week. They wouldn't be gotcha questions. They'd be serious questions about why you thought what you thought. He really wanted to know. And you felt respected when you spoke with Ted, even if you ventured into a topic where he had vastly superior knowledge, like football or sailing. Still, he wouldn't talk down to you, at least not to me. And all of that said, when I think of Ted, I mostly think of an extremely funny guy. That guy in the middle. He was a joker who could crack a hilarious smile at just the right moment, but even better, at just the wrong one. A guy who could find humor in almost any situation, and in particular, in his own episodes of misfortune. Ted was a guy who did nice things, good things, and the right things, because he wanted to. He didn't seem to want or need gratitude. He didn't need a code to live by. He did the right things because they were the right, kind, caring, and compassionate things to do, and that's what he wanted to do. Now, Ted had a style, a way of doing things that was understated and humble and often humorous. I remember one time when I was living out of province and I'd come back for Christmas. And Ted was in Oakville or Mississauga at the time, and I was on the other side of the lake at my mom's in Thorold with no easy way of getting over to Ted's side of the lake, but I wanted to see him, of course. So, not surprisingly, Ted offered to come and get me and I asked something like, gee, are you sure you don't mind? It's like an hour and a half away. And he responded with something like, of course I don't mind. Don't be ridiculous. I mean, come on, guy. Of course I'll come and get you. That was Ted's way of letting you know he cared about you without being sappy. And if I told Ted that I was having trouble deciding what to say today, he'd probably say something like, come on, guy, you can do it. It's not that big of a deal. You've known me for like 40 years. You'll be fine. Because Ted could also scoff at you and be encouraging at the same time. And one other thing about Ted that I think is noteworthy is that he had a real gift for appreciating the moment he was in. He could be sailing or hiking or skiing or just sitting in his backyard on a sunny day, and he'd stop and he'd say something like, how great is this, buddy? How perfect is this? And then he'd go on and say, because it was great snow, great sailing, great weather, whatever it was at that moment, he was truly in the moment and appreciating that moment. And that moment of pause and reflection allowed me, and I believe the others around him, to also appreciate that moment a little more. I'm gonna miss you, buddy. I'm gonna miss your humor and your sincerity and your curiosity and your kindness and your judgment. But mostly I'm gonna miss your friendship. I love you.
Thank you, Brad. Longtime friend, Gord.
Hi, everybody. As mentioned, my name's Gord Grace, and it's a real honor to share a few words here today. Ted, Teddy, Brother Ted, GM Ted, Coach Ted. I'm here to talk about Ted the friend. Obviously, Ted was a special guy, especially when you look at the response over the last number of months. That tells you a lot about the life that Ted lived. To describe him as special, it's not an easy task to really explain that, but actually being Ted's friend was always easy. He had a real folksy way about him. You always felt comfortable in his presence, no matter if you had the same opinion or a different opinion. Great conversations, a real sense of belonging when you're with Ted. I like to say he had a perfect blend of maritime charm and friendliness, along with big city savvy and fast-paced. That was Ted. He fit in almost every environment. He could win you over with a great story or by playing a beautiful song on his guitar. I've come to realize that included punk music in the 90s, which, quite frankly, I appreciate even more. Or simply by talking about his love for football. My experience with Ted started first as a coach. He recruited me to come to Mount Allison over 30 years ago. We met in New Orleans, of all places, at the American Football Coaches Association. I was at Michigan at the time, working in Ann Arbor. He was in Sackville. I think he was in his mid-30s. I had already been married and had kids, but he was wise beyond his years, and he told me about this opportunity and made Sackville sound like the best place in the world. For me and my family, it really was. It was perfect timing for us and for my career. He did represent the very best of Mount Allison football, worked too hard for too little. A few years ago, I found his contract that I signed him up with when I first came there, and I was embarrassed to see the little money that I actually paid for all the work he did. And he did everything, from coaching O-line to recruiting to babysitting my kids. He did a little bit of everything. He bled garden gold, just as he did just as he did with every team. He really, that was the center of everything for him when he was with his team. He's credited by many players as being the savior of Mount A when they had their difficulties in the mid-90s. As I said, he was an all-in guy with every team he was ever a part of. You knew back then he was passionate and committed to the game and that he was going places in football. Mount A was really the foundation to his football career, and he would do just about anything for the program without hesitation or concern. One example of that was when I moved out there and I was going from Michigan to New Brunswick, and the people in Michigan didn't understand where New Brunswick was, and I'd say east of Maine, and they'd go, that's the Atlantic Ocean. But we couldn't bring all our stuff at one time, so I had Ted drive my car out there. And so this is in February, one winter, I think probably back in '97, something like that. A big snowstorm, just a heck of a 2,000-kilometer trek. So when he finally arrived, I went out to greet him, and I saw there was this big arch on my windshield, and the wiper had carved right through the window because the wiper had fallen off. And so I asked him about that. I said, Ted, what happened here? He says, sorry, Gord. I knew we had spring ball tomorrow. I needed to be here on time. And I think the real truth of the matter was he probably didn't have $10 in his pocket to pay for it. But that's how devoted he really was. Ted built bonds in Sackville. He built bonds here in Burlington, in Hamilton, in Vancouver, across Canada, and across the U.S. That lasted a lifetime. I was fortunate enough to be one of his many friends, just as many are here today. And I'm sure you stayed in touch over the years. No matter where we lived, and we lived in a variety of places, we stayed in touch, we shared work stories, we bounced ideas off each other. We actually had a goal to work together again someday. When I moved to Burlington, that's when our friendship, it seemed, to take another level. We played pickleball together. He remained friends with my kids even when they became adults. We'd have beer and chicken wings, it seemed like every couple of weeks. He took me and Michelle sailing in Bronte often, even had my dad down to his boat several times. That was Ted's nature. He enjoyed all of life, but more importantly, he enjoyed being with people. And it was his nature to give back. He always found ways to get back. There's countless stories that have been shared in the last several months about Ted giving back, whether it was to amateur football, university football, or to his community, or to his friends. As mentioned here, as I think we were all extremely happy for Ted when he reached his goal and fulfilled his dream to become the general manager of the Ticats. He earned it, and he did it the right way. That's really what made it so special. It's an absolute shame he didn't get to fully enjoy that fruits of his labor and that accomplishment. But Ted was much more than a football guy, as mentioned here. I'm sure your experience with Ted was similar to mine. He was smart, he was likable, he was a musician, he loved to ski, he was well-read, historian, followed politics, great story. He was probably the most interesting guy in the room most times, but he would never act that way. Ted was a remarkable friend who cared about his family, his friends, and his teams. I said in a recent interview, once you met Ted, you had the feeling that you were going to be a friend for life. And for many of us, we were. Ted was a connector of people. I've said this before. He pulled people together, whether a football team or a group of friends. People were naturally drawn to him. His friends became your friends. And I think we've especially found that to be true over the last several months. He gave his time, he cared for so many. He supported people in their times of need. Despite his poor health and barely able to walk at later this summer, not being able to attend games, he actually came to my dad's funeral in July, walked in with a cane and attended my dad's funeral. That's something that I'll never forget. Ted was a special guy who left a legacy with all of us. Rest in peace, Ted. You're one of a kind. May you be captaining a sailboat somewhere above, with your dad on board, heading to a harbor to watch a CFL game or a university game at a bar and having a beer and a chicken wing. Love you, Teddy. Thank you.
And to close out the second quarter, Ted's longtime friend, he was a teammate, sailmate, Ted coached him. Chris.
Hello. My name is Chris Nunn, and I've had the distinct pleasure of being Ted's best friend for over 35 years. I say pleasure because that's what it was. We literally spent the majority of that time laughing our asses off. I could always get a laugh, a chuckle, or at least a smile from him, and vice versa. I'm happy to say that persisted right to the end, too. My goal here today is to shed some light on the Ted I've known all these years, not just his accolades and accomplishments in football, which are fairly well known and have been widely reported on, but the dude I've known almost my whole life, my friend Ted. My first memory of Ted, fittingly, is on the football field. Go figure. Assumption Crusaders, junior football tryouts, 1986. I come up in a blocking drill against this cat with a frickin' white mohawk and wild eyes, man, like, you know. I'm like, whoa, he's back, fella. His white hair was poking out of the front of the helmet here, you know, insanity. And at that time, I wasn't exactly a skilled player. And Ted was a guy had a white mohawk. Anyway, he won that rep. We remained teammates and casual acquaintances for the next few seasons, culminating in playing beside each other in his last year, 1989. We were hanging out more by then and grew a little closer when Ted joined the rugby team. We rolled the games together, and I helped him learn the game. Speaking of rolling, I was the one that rolled him over when he was face down on the field after breaking his nose in a game. He learned that day that you don't tackle with your face in rugby. Pretty sure that lesson stuck with him too. On Canada Day 1990, I lost my dad. Heart attack at 48. Unexpected and crushing, to say the least. In my mind, I can still see Ted walking into that room where my dad was laid out. In that moment, I knew he was a real one. He wasn't just a buddy from school that I played sports with. This was my friend, true friend. I felt in my heart. I said, Ted, you came. He responded, of course. And smiled and gave me a hug. From that day on, we were tight friends. Solid. He coached me on the O-line in my last year of high school. His first ever coaching gig. Ted even showed up at the school on the morning of the championship game with a shirt and tie on. Like, classy move, right? He was a pro from the start. We're only a year removed from Tom Landry, who used to, people don't know, he coached the Cowboys. He wore a suit on the sidelines. So Ted showing up with the shirt and tie kind of added a little bit of class and professionalism to the day. Also notable, he wore that same outfit all night at the party. I went to Mount Allison the next year, and he came a year later. Teammates again, we also became housemates and lived together every year after, including the now infamous bedroom behind our couch, where Ted stayed so he could save money and continue coaching. So many of my memories from back then are with Ted. It was Ted and I walking backwards up King Street to protect ourselves from the winter wind that would howl down at us, Sackville. It was Ted and I that wiped out on that wet ice in the parking lot at the bottom of King Street while heading to class, right? Wiped out, we're soaked. And it was Ted and I that just went home because we were soaked and we didn't go to class that day. It was Ted and I driving back and forth from here to the East Coast, like multiple times. At one point, our names kind of merged into one. We were Nunn and Goveia. Hey, where's Nunn and Goveia? You guys see Nunn and Goveia? Oh, look who's late for meetings, Nunn and Goveia. Guess who's going to run all afternoon now as punishment? Nunn and Goveia. We worked hard as players, trying to improve all the time, working out together, playing badminton, watching and re-watching the Jim McNally O-line tape. I mean, we used to sometimes go to a park at night and work one-on-one pass rush against each other. Like, no joke, we did that. Ted always wanted to improve. In his second year, Ted was getting a lot of burners, and he had a neck injury, and he retired from playing. Taking off the pads only meant he was picking up the whistle and the stopwatch. His passion for the game only grew. Now he was coaching and recruiting for Mount Allison. He was the D-line coach until my senior year when he switched to offensive line, meaning I got to have him coach me once again. It was short-lived, though. We had a bit of a blow-up in the program that year, and Ted became our offensive coordinator after week 3. Lesser known is that he also withdrew from classes so he could run the team on a day-to-day basis. If you called the Mountie football office, it was Ted that answered the phone. It's fair to say that Mount A may not have a football team today if not for Ted's dedication in the fall of 1996. By the way, we went from 0-3 to 5-3 and made the playoffs. That's real too. As Teddy said to me recently, I'm lucky. I found my thing early and stuck with it. He did stick with it too. Coaching isn't for the faint of heart. Long hours, high stress, low money, it's tough. Ted was tougher, stuck with it, fought for his dream, and became possibly the greatest football mind in the country. He fiercely defended our league against comparison to others and celebrated the uniqueness of our game. He was a true stalwart of Canadian football, and he wanted nothing more than the league and our unique game to thrive. Canadian football truly lost an icon here. One of its greatest defenders is gone. He helped turn McMaster into a powerhouse. He started the turnaround at UBC, and then he went pro. Coaching morphed into scouting and managing personnel, but his drive to succeed and tireless work ethic never left him. A true grinder, working with the Argos, he helped win the 100th Grey Cup. On to Winnipeg, where he was instrumental in creating the Blue Bomber juggernaut that appeared in 6 straight cups. That was great, but he wanted to be here. We talked for 10 years about him coming to Hamilton as the GM and building a winning program. How awesome it would be to build it his way and win. It certainly would appear that he was on the right track, and then he got diagnosed. Landing this job here with the Ticats was definitely Ted's dream. I'd like to thank the Cats executives for fulfilling that for him. He loved you, gentlemen, and he loved going to work in your building. This was his dream come true. And to the Tiger Cat players, he loved you guys. And I can also say that even though I've not met all of you, I know 2 things about each and every one of you. First off, you can play. Ted was gifted talent evaluator. And if you're on this roster, you can ball. Secondly, maybe more importantly, you're good teammates to each other. There's a reason that Team Ted works so well as a concept, a moniker, or a call sign. And it's because Ted would never put himself in front of the team. With him, it's always going to be team first. He took pride in watching you guys celebrate big plays together, pick each other up, and praise your teammates in interviews. Find your other 11, he would say, and celebrate you when you did. Team. The team that Ted was most proud of, however, is the team he got to make with you, John. You two connected on a very deep level, and he knew it. He lit up when he saw you, and he loved you so much. Your love for him is clear to see as well, and when he needed you most, you were there. He will always be with you. Like a ripple in still water, the influence and effect Ted had on people is immeasurable and will carry on forever. He was the boulder dropped into that water, creating not just ripples, but wave after wave of kindness, good humor, and a hand offered to someone in need of it. Just look around this room. It's easy to see how far those ripples have traveled. Ted's legacy is secure. Looking back now over my life, I can see a lot of really good memories. And I can see Ted in those memories with me more often than not. From a wild guy with a mohawk to my chosen family that my mom referred to as another son, Ted truly was my friend. I read once that the grief we feel when losing someone is actually all of the love that we have for that person coming out, because that person is no longer there to receive it. I feel like that's a good way of looking at it, and it's accurate. I miss Ted, and I'm reminded of him everywhere. Reminded, unfortunately, that our run is over, at least for now. Friendships like ours, however, can transcend through time and space, and I'll see him down the road someplace. I also know wherever he goes, he takes a little piece of my heart with him, and I like to think he left a little piece of his with me. Oski wee wee Teddy, I love you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Brings us to halftime. Thank you to the friends. Thank you to Brad, Gord, and Chris all. Third quarter is football, or the family that Ted chose professionally along the way to become his family. We're going to start off with Alex Russell from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the director of scouting who Ted brought in this season. Alex.
Thank you for everyone in attendance today to celebrate the incredible life of Ted Goveia. My name is Alex Russell, and I had the privilege of knowing Ted for 7 years. We first met out on the scouting trail. I was just getting started as a scout in the CFL with Toronto, and Ted was working for Winnipeg. Every Saturday, I would find myself driving to a university game somewhere in Ontario, and no matter where I went, whether it was Waterloo, Windsor, Ottawa, Ted was always there, and usually before me. What struck me right away was how tirelessly he worked. Ted was an assistant GM at the time, and even with all the responsibilities that came with it, he still showed up at those games. I quickly realized it was because Ted just loved the game. He loved the people in it. And he could not have been more welcoming to a young scout like me. He would greet me with a smile and chat through the whole game, often throwing in some insight about a player. He didn't need to do that, but that's who Ted was. This past December, Ted called me to tell me he accepted the GM job with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and asked if I'd like to be a part of his staff. After meeting for dinner one night, it quickly became an easy decision. Ted had a brilliant football mind. He had a clear vision when he took the job in Hamilton and wasted no time in putting it to action. He knew the kind of players he wanted and the culture he wanted to build in that locker room. As a boss, he did not micromanage. He trusted you. He delegated work and empowered people to do their best. He was not afraid to say, here's how I've done it in the past, but he always wanted to hear new ideas to see if there was a better way of doing something. Ted was a teacher at heart. He mentored so many of us in this league, and I will always be grateful for the way he invested in his people. Ted loved the scouting trail. He loved the long days, the road trips, and the relationships that came with it. At the CFL Combine this past March, we flew home late from Regina and landed in Toronto close to midnight. Ted and I had planned to attend Bowling Green's Pro Day the next morning at 8 a.m., and we had a 5-hour drive ahead of us. Most people would have said, let's rethink these travel plans, but not Ted. He was at his happiest on the road, so we piled into his car and made the trip. We traded stories and laughs through the night and sang along to some of his favorite songs. Despite running on 3 hours of sleep, that trip is one of my favorite memories with Ted. What I will miss most are the everyday moments, early morning chats in his office, cups of coffee, and debating players. I will miss his stories, especially his terrible luck when it came to traveling on the road, which always managed to make us laugh. I know Ted is watching over us now and cheering on the team from above, and I like to picture him with a guitar in his hands, a sailboat waiting for him, and a fridge stocked with his favorite IPAs. We love you, Ted, we miss you, and we will carry your example with us always. Thank you.
Tom Flaxman is the Hamilton Tiger Cats National Scout. Also had an association with Ted, I think, at McMaster days. We're bringing him forward now, and I'm always impressed by my research with Tom that he's one of the ones where it says success leaves clues, and he followed Ted's success, that it gave him his pathway and realized he could do this as a career. Thank you, Tom.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Flaxman. My relationship with Ted spans over 2 decades, and I'm honored to share a few words here today as we celebrate the life of a great man, Ted Goveia. The support Ted received from his family and his fiancée Jen throughout this journey has been inspiring. For those of us who were able to share in some of those moments, they were special and appreciated. Many stories will be shared today about Ted. Some will make us laugh, some will bring us to tears. But every story will remind us of the impact he had on our lives. My story with Ted began 25 years ago on a football field in Mississauga. At the time, Ted was the new recruiting coordinator and special teams coach at McMaster. As he often did, he volunteered his time with the local summer football league program, and that day he was working with the running backs. My first experience with Ted left a real mark on me. His ability to teach, but more importantly, to connect and communicate, stood out right away. Not long after, Ted recruited me to Mac. For me, it was an easy decision. Most recruiters would try to sell you on their program, but Ted was different. He focused on building relationships and creating a team. And he and his staff did just that, winning 4 Yates Cups in a row in the early 2000s. His special teams units were some of the best in the country. That came back to his style. He built trust, and his players wanted to play hard for him. He made everyone believe that their role, no matter how big or small, was most important. And his attention to detail, whether in technique or scheme or the nuances of the Canadian game, were second to none. In meetings, he would praise effort and accomplishment, but he was not shy of making corrections either. And I learned quickly that when Ted tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Come by my office around noon tomorrow, I want to talk to you about a few things," it was his way of saying, you didn't play your best, and we've got some things to fix. Ted loved his time at Mac, and the relationships he built there lasted. Many of the people he coached with and mentored are here today. After the 2004 season, I went to Acadia, so Ted's direct coaching impact on me ended, but we stayed in touch. Ted went to UBC, eventually becoming the team's head coach, and he began his CFL journey with the Toronto Argonauts in 2011. The connection we made on that field in Mississauga all those years ago grew stronger over the years. Ted became a mentor, somebody I could lean on for advice through my coaching career. We had a similar beginning at a small school on the East Coast, and he loved to tell stories about his living arrangements, eating ramen noodles, and coaching at his beloved alma mater, Mount Allison. I remember calling him when I first became a special teams coordinator. I wanted to learn scheme. I hoped to emulate what he had done at Mac. And we spent about 15 minutes talking about plays, and then we spent about 3 hours talking about teaching relationships and drill work. His best advice was simple: work hard, build meaningful relationships, love the process, be a great recruiter, and above all, be yourself. While Ted was always a mentor, he quickly became a friend. Whether at East-West Bowls or Vanier Cups or other football events, we always found time to grab a beer and catch up. We talked about life, sailing, music, and obviously football. So when he called me about joining him in Hamilton, it was the easiest decision that I ever made, and the best one. Ted had a clear vision for what he wanted the Tiger Cats to be, and he worked tirelessly to build it. He wanted players who were tough, gritty, and resilient, qualities Hamilton respects. He wanted players who loved the game the way he did. He valued hard work, people who went the extra mile, and above all, he wanted good people and great teammates. Watching that vision come to life this year has been inspiring. You can see it every day in our building, on our practice field, and in our locker room. Over the past few weeks, I've heard from so many who have similar stories like mine. Ted opened a lot of doors. He lifted people up. He made a lasting impact on the football community in this country. From starting out at Mount Allison to becoming the general manager of his boyhood team, the dream job, he never forgot where he came from. He gave back to amateur football at every level. He used his position to help others grow. And while he won 3 Grey Cups and was part of some great teams, his legacy is in the growth of the game in Canada and the people he influenced along the way. And you can see that legacy in this room today. His family, Jen, and this incredible turnout, including the entire Hamilton Tiger Cat organization, are proof of the loyalty, respect, and love Ted inspired. So my challenge to all of us, especially those in leadership, is this: build on Ted's legacy. Take the time to talk to a young coach, give back to a local program, invest in people. You never know how a 5-minute conversation might change somebody's life. That's how Ted lived, and because of him, we'll carry it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Our next speaker will be Danny McManus. He's, of course, now with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Assistant General Manager and Director of U.S. Scouting. I prefer to think of him as the Grey Cup MVP the last time we won in 1999 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
All right. I must have left my speech notes out last night because everyone that spoke today has used all my notes I have on this card here about Teddy. Okay? But walking up here, you know, I got a thought that came to my mind of what Teddy would want me to say, or what he would say to me when I walked up here. He would say, Danny boy, you're up next. Get this over with, because I got shit to do. All right? So that's just, I mean, that's the guy I got the chance to work with for 10 years. Okay? Side by side, lots of fun, lots of laughs, some hard times. Great storyteller. I mean, if you ever heard a real good story from Teddy, he's got that pause that kind of just sits there, and you don't know whether he is still breathing or what, and you're trying to get the words out of his mouth, but then he hits you with it, and it just, the stories were unbelievable. And those are the things I'm going to miss. But it's also the things that he taught me that I'm going to carry on. You know, what is a football player? And these are the same things that Teddy was. Teddy was a hard worker every day. All we talked about was just winning that day. Just win the day. I mean, we talk about now in football, go 1-0 in the week. Our job was just to win that day. If we called an agent said, no, my player's not ready to come up there yet, we would call someone else until we got a yes. Or we missed out on a negless guy because Berkey put somebody on or someone else put somebody on. We'd put another guy on just to win that day. And I think that's one of the things that I like about Ted. He was always going to win. Wasn't going to go to bed until he won. Okay? Very smart. You know, he had these philosophies of do your job. There was a standard, and we all kept to the standard, all of us, including Teddy. It just wasn't Ted's standard. It was everyone's standard. You know, you had to live up to this because the number one focus, again, was winning. That's all he wanted to do, was win. Okay? And that was the main deal. He wasn't there to put the standard up there to say, hey, you guys come up to where I am. We all did it together. And there was never, this is my guy, or I got this guy, or I know that agent. It was our guy. It was we. We all put it together to put the teams together that we were a part of for those 10 years. Okay? Show up and be present. If you have something to say, say it. And Teddy was the perfect person to say it. He would ask those questions that we all wanted to ask, but just didn't want to say it. And then he would say it, we go, ooh, yeah, let's hear this one, okay? He would ask that question that Mike O'Shea didn't want to answer, but Mike O'Shea would answer it, okay? And he would get that point across because it's all about winning. It comes down to winning with Teddy. And no matter what he did, I think O talked about ping pong. If ping pong was being played, Teddy wasn't there to lose. Teddy was there to win, all right? And that was one of his philosophies he carried with him. Loves football. You talking about loving football. This guy got paid in Wendy's coupons for a whole year. I mean, I like food. I like Wendy's. I mean, I can do a Frosty. I can mix it. I can do that. But I don't know how many times you can go to Wendy's and get something different. He did it for a whole football season. Okay, so I mean, you're talking about a guy that loves football. But what the biggest thing was, it wasn't just football. It was Canada football. Football in Canada. He loved it. And every opportunity that we had, or that he had to express his love for Canada, for football in Canada, he did it. Whether it was in the States at free agent workouts, whether it was in a restaurant after a free agent workout, after I've already ordered my Miller Lite, and he's asking, well, what kind of IPAs do you have? Are they local? Which one do you like? Are you from here? Teddy, just order the beer so we get the nachos, because I know you want nachos too, so let's just get them, all right? But it just kept going on and on. But he would always ask, you know anything about the Canadian Football League? Do you know anyone? So we got this person from Dallas. He's on our team. So he would always express the love of the game of football and how it's played in Canada, okay? And he was a true leader. He always focused on the why. And like I said, he would ask those difficult questions. And he's always put out the vision to us of where we want to go, just for us to get the buy-in of how we're going to get there. And it wasn't that he was expecting us to do it. We were all doing it because he was the leader. That's how a leader is defined. It's about the people that he's bringing up with him, not the ones that he's stepping on, the ones he brings with him. And that was Teddy. Okay? Now, Teddy's not a great traveler, as you might have heard. I had the opportunity to make up Teddy time when we traveled together. It was always a half hour earlier because either Teddy forgot something up in the room, couldn't find his glasses, I got a late call and just wasn't able to get it, didn't get a shower yet, had to get his 20 minutes on the Stairmaster before he did anything. But then he would come down and we'd be ready to go. And I had 30 minutes to go, but what would happen at the very end? Oh, I need a coffee now. Well, we're supposed to be at some place here in about 5 minutes, but you want a coffee. Okay, now I took everything back. I put it back a half hour. So now Teddy would get up earlier, he'd come down, he'd already have his coffee. Now he screwed me. All right, now my time's all messed up, so I would fake that I needed a coffee and then get him an extra coffee too, so then he was happy with that. But Ted had very bad luck with United Airlines. I don't know if there's any United Airline reps in here. Y'all must have red flagged him bad because he got bumped from flights. I mean, a couple times he said the flight was canceled, not because of weather, which they would put you up in a hotel. It just got canceled, and so they didn't put him up, so he had to sleep in the airport. I said, Ted, no, if it's canceled, they got to put you up. No, they wouldn't do it. I asked 6, 7 times. They wouldn't put me up anywhere. So his luck with United Airlines and traveling was awful. How many times I asked him he had his passport? Had to be 3 or 4 times on a trip, and we were only gone for 2 days just to make sure that he had it. Okay? But it was just one of those things that it was a fun part of him because he really didn't, that wasn't that important to him. What was important to him was winning in anything that he did. Okay? He wanted to win that day on the free agent field. He wanted to find that guy. You know, that's what was important to him. Now, as a friend, everyone's talked about him as a people's person. Definitely was. He would listen to you. If you had something you wanted to talk about, Or if he had something he wanted to talk about, he would always come back, and I think Brad said it, come back and maybe a couple of days later and ask you a question about it. He'd listen to you, and then he'd come back and say something. I think he picked my brain a little bit of what it was like to be a football player for 17 years. I said, Ted, it's no different than you. I mean, you've been in management for all these years. What's it like to be you? So we fed off each other. I think that was an important part. But it all came down to winning. That was number one for him, is to get in there. He loved the debate. He was loyal to the core. You're talking about a guy that loved music. We would argue over, I was like an old classic rock and roll guy, which he was a little bit too, but we would sit in our meeting rooms and he would have us just yell out a song, and he could pull it right up on the guitar and play it. It was just one of those things. I think Cyril knows about that stuff. There was a lot of weird music that he knew how to play. It just wasn't just one classic stuff. And then I think Wally, he used to come into our room and play with us as well. Rig Baden would do the same thing. So, I mean, just his skill level was unbelievable. Now, but he saved his best scouting move for a few years ago, and that was with Jen. Okay? Now, we all know Teddy. He can be, if he doesn't get his sleep or anything like that, ornery. I mean, rough around the edges, I never saw it. He was ornery, but Jen softened him up a little bit, okay? And Jen, we all appreciate that. Thank you, dear. But I think one of the things you look at with Ted is that he had vision of what he was planning on doing. And unfortunately, that's what I feel for him. He's not going to have that opportunity to do. He's still winning. He wins every day because he did one final thing. He asked her to marry him. So he went out as a winner. And Jen, to you and your sisters and the family that took care of him, as all of us are friends of him, thank you for his final days that you took care of him. And to leave you on a note, I heard this before, there's only 2 days in your life that you don't have 24 hours. First day, your last day. All those days in between, you're making a book. You got your front cover, then you'll have your back cover. Do it like Teddy. Win each and every day, okay? Just win the day. Do something, make an impact. His footprint will be felt through Football Canada for years to come. But he made a book that people are going to be able to look at and say, he made a difference. So, love you, Teddy. Gonna miss you.
Thank you, Danny. 3 quarters done. 4th quarter, our finale. We're going to enjoy a tribute video created by the family. Thank you, Jen and Joe, for all the work on this. Followed by a musical performance from the Hamilton Tiger Cats' Drew Wolotarski. And we'll be closing after that with our legacy. Enjoy the video.
Well, hello there. It's been a long, long time. How am I doing? Oh, I guess that I'm doing fine. It's been so long now, but it seems now that it was only yesterday. Gee, ain't it funny how time slips away? How's your new love? I hope that he's doing fine. I heard you told him that you'd love him till the end of time. Now that's the same thing that you told me. Seems like just the other day. Gee, ain't it funny how time slips away? I gotta go now. I guess I'll see you around. Don't know when though, never know when I'll be back in town. But remember what I tell you, in time you're gonna pay. And it's surprising how time slips away.
When I feel that chill, smell that fresh cut grass, I'm back in my helmet, cleats and shoulder pads, standing in the huddle, listening to the call. Fans going crazy for the boys that fall. They didn't let just anybody in that club. Took every ounce of heart and sweat and blood to get to wear those game day jerseys down the hall. The kings of the school, man, where the boys are fall. Well, it's turning face to stars and stripes. It's fighting back them butterflies. It's calling in the air all right. Yes, sir, we want the ball. And it's knocking heads and talking trash. It's slinging mud and dirt and grass. It's I got your number, I got your back. When your back's against the wall, you mess with one man, you got us all. The boys are fall. In little towns like mine, that's all they got. Newspaper clippings fill the coffee shops. The old men will always think they know it all. Young girls will dream about the boys of fall. Well, it's turning face to stars and stripes. It's fighting back them butterflies. It's calling in the air all around. Yes, sir, we want the ball. And it's knocking heads and talking trash. It's slinging mud and dirt and grass. It's I got your number, I got your back. When your back's against the wall, you mess with one man, you got us all. The boys are It's turning face to stars and stripes. It's fighting back them butterflies. It's calling in the air all around. Yes, sir, we want the ball. Knocking heads and talking trash. It's slinging mud and dirt and grass. It's I got your number, I got your back. When your back's against the wall, you mess with one man, you got us all. The boys are fall. We're the boys are fall. We're the boys are fall.
around a while, trying to keep your spirits up. And your fever down. And I knew someday that you would fly away. For love's the greatest healer to be found. So leave me if you need to. I will still remember. Angel flying too close to the ground.
Seems like we met only yesterday.
Tiptoed in a room. I know you got to have your rest. She says, come lay beside me. I've been waiting since you left. She's sweet to me. Must be the luckiest man alive. Did I tell you, baby, you are the joy of my life. First time that I saw you, you took my breath away. To heaven, but I walked with the angels that day. She takes me by the hand. I am the luckiest man alive. Did I tell you, baby, you are the joy of my life.
And we invite Drew forward for his presentation. Thank you, Drew. Okay, I'll keep talking. So one thing I can say is there's a tremendous amount of writing about Ted online. At 3D Nation especially, there's an article by John Hodge, just released a couple days ago, called Ted Goveia, the CFL's best kept secret. I highly encourage you. Danny is featured in that a lot. I learned a lot, but there's some great things by Steve Milton. Research online if you want to get a deeper appreciation, but we all know his impact. Is that good enough, Drew?
Yeah. Thank you. So, while I set this up, Ted told me he was dying on the last day of camp. And it shook me, and it was hard to believe. I've always been a musical person. I just started playing when I actually got to Winnipeg. And I was with Ted for 7 years in Winnipeg. And one thing that I learned from him, one thing that I saw in his work, was that he loved it and he made us love it more. I never came to work one day feeling like it was work. I genuinely mean that. He made me realize the power of believing in somebody, believing in yourself, believing in others. And what we had was a dynasty. And not because we had the best players, the best scheme, it was because every day you walked in there, you truly believed in what you were doing. And our motto this year is believe. I don't know if he made that, I don't know who made that, but it's in the locker room, it's on everything you see, believe. And if anything I take away from Ted's life, my experience with Ted, is that there's so much power in that. There's so much power in that. So the best way I could honor Ted was to make a song, was to write a song for him. I got to play this the day before he died. I got to play it for you, for Joe, Lisa, Jen, and y'all honored me asking me to come up here and play it today for everybody, and I really appreciate that, and it means the world to me. This song is Ted's song. It's Ted's song. When did this world start changing? We used to see things eye to eye. When things can change in an instant, I've become afraid to close my eyes. And you could live for a century and never see those northern lights, 'cause life is colored by the memory. A life so rich you could paint the sky. So to your song, we all danced along. Oh, to your song, we'll sing all night long. I wish you could have seen me.
Before we met, I was just a boy. You helped push me to rise above my highest mile. So to your song, we all danced along. To your song, sing all night long. To your song, Lord, with your song we'll carry you on. I'm going to continue to believe. I hope everybody in this room continues to believe in whatever you do it to the fullest of your ability. Do it like Ted did it. I'm going to continue to carry on that. This is a guitar he gave me. I'm going to cherish this for the rest of my life. And every time I play it, it'll be in honor of him. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Drew. And so I get the 3-minute drill, sometimes the most exciting time in a CFL game, but the ability to bring things home. Our legacy is created by our actions and how we interact with others. Simply stated, your actions and your character precede you. We are not guaranteed a certain amount of time in which to live our lives, but we are presented with daily opportunities where we choose how to use the time that we are given. Time truly is our most valuable commodity, and you cannot put a price on the memories and the relationships that you create. Ted wanted everyone to know the importance of cherishing life's simple pleasures now. Here's how Ted used his time and the choices Ted made that form his inspiring, impactful, and enduring legacy. Ted chose to spend quality time with family and friends. Ted made the effort to connect and engage in meaningful ways with everyone. He spoke fondly of and appreciated both of his parents, all of his parents. In particular, the life lessons of hard work, doing the right thing, and team loyalty that they imparted upon him. Ted's inner confidence came from knowing who he was and what was important to him, and that was being present with people, treating everyone with kindness, respect, and good humor. Ted was about inclusion. Ted chose to appreciate life, both simple pleasures and passionate pursuits. Ted lived in the moment, and he really was a Renaissance man, gifted at a lot of things. Travel broadened his horizons and deepened his appreciation for life. Professionally, Ted paid his dues in full to get his dream job as Ticats GM. Ted knew firsthand that if you wanted something, you worked for it, and then you used your position to help others. He made contributions to every level of football on his climb. Ted's heart was deeply rooted in relationships, and he loved to teach, and he loved to learn. Ted chose to be resilient, strong, brave. When faced with the unimaginable, Ted never let his illness define him, but Ted can be defined by the courageous and inspirational way he faced his health challenges head on. Ted was a competitor, a fighter, and he had a strong resolve. Ted loved life. More importantly, Ted loved his life and everyone in it. Ted's impressive and enduring legacy of love, friendship, and the pursuit of passion is proven and will move forward with all of us. We honor Ted when we are kind to others, honor our parents, or host a great cup party. The movie Gladiator contains the quote, "What we do in life echoes in eternity." Ted's influence doesn't just echo, it thunders. Ted Goveia is, and always will be, a Canadian football legend. He was also legendary in his home and with his family and friends. His legacy will live on in those he mentored, recruited, coached, and through his football scholarships at McMaster and Mount Allison that carry forward, and whenever the Hamilton Tiger Cats suit up and step on the field. Ted's legacy is truly a shining example of what a beautiful difference one life can have on others. And we thank you for everything, Ted. So many good people have so many great things to say and write about you. You are deeply loved, and you are universally respected. You are truly missed, but we will remember. We will conclude our celebration of life with these thoughts. Although Ted is no longer with us, Ted is at peace, and his memory lives on in us. As you all move forward, may you be an anchor for each other so that your lives can begin to heal in Ted's absence. May you be touched by Ted's passion for life and his incredible perseverance. May you comfort each other while honoring Ted's memory and his legacy of treating the people the right way. May Ted's memory remain in us and inspire us in our daily lives from this day forth. We are so very grateful for Ted's life having been lived to its absolute fullest among us. At this time, I'd like to thank Jonathan for his AV support today. It was remarkable. The Convention Center team, to Joe and Jen and the family, truly honored to be a part of the journey with you at this time. Thank you for including me. Adam and his team with Smith Funeral Homes, thank you very much. Our live streamers today, we're so glad to have you here. As we close, we're going to ask people to stand as the family leaves. From the movie Brian's song to finish. This will date me as a 70s guy for sure, but the movie Brian song, this is the epitaph adapted for Ted. Ted Goveia passed away at the age of 55. He left behind his loving fiance and loving family and friends. He also left behind a great many friends who will miss Ted and think of him often. But when we think of Ted, it's not how he passed that we remember, but how he lived, how Ted did live. As Adam directs the family, if you'd please stand for the recessional. Thank you.
Just